Hello. What's up?
Ciao. Wait, where's my video?
I don't know.
Here it is. Woo! I was worried I was the only one hanging out here. It's like, oh, did I miss it?
What's up, triathlete?
Yeah, right.
No,
Still want to be. Still want to be. So
what are
yeah,
you talking about? You're not a wannabe anymore.
I'm
You
in
did
it.
it.
I'm in it. Yeah, no, actually, Sunday late afternoon, I started getting a pretty like slow crescendo of a dehydration headache. Um,
Oh,
and like I had no alcohol that day, so I got home. I immediately started with like rock salt and a little lemon water. Started with that room temperature water. I crushed 1.5 gallons of water with electrolytes in it and still had it there. It was there. It was just like one of those like knock knock at the bottom of your occipital, like it's coming on, but get ahead of it. Um, Food, body, everything felt super good. Like I had zero pains. And yesterday I did Monday, just cool, calm, collected, went through the mental awareness stuff. Yesterday, I just did some stretching and foam rolling, ton of foam rolling Sunday afternoon too.
okay.
I went on a bike ride Tuesday, and then today I've had a couple of meetings and interviews, so I haven't done anything today. But I
Okay.
feel like no body aches, no pains, all of it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, honestly, so it was just a really, really extremely hot day and like everybody felt the effects of it. And I'm happy that you included a lot of electrolytes in your water because you don't want to just drink a gallon of water. Like that's actually too much at one time. Because you can actually, hurt yourself if you have too much water without the salt. So happy that you included the salt. But
Right.
most likely it was just like the heat. It was the heat factor, and you've never done anything like this before, right? So the stress and the anxiety of the whole day, right? It's a lot to take in the first day, but it was actually on top of it was extremely, extremely warm.
Yeah.
But if you race and train in Miami, this is how it is
Yeah.
in the summer, right?
Yeah.
So all right, cool. So I'd love to not take the whole time because Carriel's here and I do want to get to him too, but I know he's going to get educated from your experience and he's done one race too. So you guys are pretty much the same. He did the Las Olas triathlon.
Cool. Yep.
But yeah, so I would love to hear, like, do you feel like you were prepared? Like, how did you, I saw you out there on the bike, you screamed at me. You must, to have enough oxygen to scream at me, that's a good sign.
Well, I was on the uphill of the bridge and you were coming down, and
Okay.
I was like kind of on the edge of, am I gonna get out of my saddle and climb? So I was like, yeah. And I was like, when I saw you, I was like, go coach. So I had
Yeah,
it, and then at that moment, I was like, all right, I'm gonna like. I was really working to get uphill, so I had that energy to like.
right.
I was
You're
like, yeah,
like puffing
what's
it.
up, too? Yeah, I was like, let's fucking go, get up the hill. Yeah,
Yeah, it was harder than we had the headwind coming this way, that day compared to the day before, we had it the opposite. So yeah, it was tough. So let's just go run through the swim, the bike, and the run, and just how you felt and anything. Writing this stuff down is really, really important. So I hope you took the time to do that in your training peaks because you will forget, you know?
yeah. I was really mentally prepared and
Yeah,
very calm through the whole
cool.
thing. The night before, I was laying in bed, just visualizing my transition. That's why when I didn't realize it started as you exited the water to like putting on your gear and leaving the gate, I was like, what the hell? It was like 1 minute, 2 minutes. What is this shit?
Yeah, you can do your own,
Yeah,
if you
I
want
myself.
to. Yeah, yeah. So if you tracked your own, it was most likely less than a minute, but theirs ends right as soon as you come out of the water, there's a timing mat. That's
Yeah,
when
I
it
didn't know that. Yeah.
starts.
That's where
So
I
it's
was like, what
usually
is
it's usually about 2.5 minutes for most people from the swim exit to the bike start,
yeah,
right?
so my transitions were quick.
How'd the swim feel though?
The swim felt great. Actually, really, my uh I was much more buoyant knowingly I was going to be because I'd been training mostly in a pool. And
Hmm.
I had done two ocean swims prior to it, so like I just knew I was just going to feel better in the race than I had been through the training in the pool.
Okay,
So my goal in the swim was elongate, catch up, breathe, uh,
good.
and just stay clear lanes. Like that was me. I just wanted to be in a clear lane, and slowly but surely. like I was picking off orange caps. So
Yeah,
it's like orange cap, orange cap, orange cap. And then I was mid fleet. I was just behind you in the swim
yeah.
for probably, you were probably 4 body lengths ahead of me after we rounded the very first mark that we had to like walk to.
Hmm.
And I mimicked you doing like the jump swan dive. So
Yeah.
I went behind you on purpose out of the gates to follow your lead to see like what to learn from you. And
Okay.
that was cool. And then so I did the like kind of swan dives like through the around the top mark and then swam and then we just started picking off orange caps and then I stayed really tight to the ley lines. So I never like bowed out and took
Yeah.
extra distance. I stayed within like
Close.
yeah, really close. And so I
Well,
felt confident. The very last buoy length was when I was like, oh, I'm feeling gassed and I rolled over on my back
okay.
and breath stroked. And that might be about, if that's mine, that
Yeah.
might be where the little zigzag is because
Yeah.
I found the paddleboard guy was there when I turned on my back, like the lifeguard dude. And then I started kind of like paddling out away from him because there were like two really retarded swimmers in their white caps, were like in white hats, like that were
Right. It's
like
going full
trying to
flow.
breaststroke. Yeah. And I was like, so I went away out and around them because had I gone inside of them, I would have been inside the swim buoys.
Right. Okay,
Um,
cool.
so there's
Yeah,
that.
so I know you don't have a swim setting on your watch. That's why your pace isn't listed here, right? Oh, wait. It is, well, not really, because I know you're not, it's not a 21 minute per 100. But if you had like the swim setting on the watch, it would give you like your 100 pace. But you know, you can tell from your time how fast it was, but you know, good job. You had a pretty high heart rate initially, and then you kind of settled in. You can see this red line.
Yeah.
And this is also, you know, you can see how your trajectory was pretty straight, right? And then you could have hit lap here, but you chose to wait till you got to this beginning of transition. So that was your true transition. So this is good.
Okay.
That's awesome.
All right. So then jogging out of the water, no, felt fine. I actually felt a lot lighter than I thought I would. And
Yeah.
then just kitting up to get on the bike was pretty awesome and easy. I was on the inboard most lane, like right next to the exit. So I could just run in, run down the lane, down
Oh,
the left
sweet.
side.
Got a
Yeah.
good
And I was
location
like,
in transition. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
perfect location. Grab my bike, put on my shoes. In my helmet, I had 2 gel packs in my sunglasses. So I just put those 2 little packs in my back shirt and then my sunglasses on, my helmet on, and then slipped my shoes in and just grabbed the horn of my bike and went.
Cool.
And then at the bike gate, Dennis was there. He was like, remember to breathe. He's like, breathe on your bike. And I looked at him like, are you talking directly to me? Like, and I looked at him, I was like, oh, it's Dennis. And I was like, yeah. I was like, thanks, coach. And he was like, you got this. That was cool having like a coach right there. I was like, that's so
Yeah,
cool.
it's so
Yeah.
nice when we have a cheerleader that knows us, and
Yeah.
that's why wearing the full circle kit is a total game changer because you will get lots of cheers, like,
I
and
was
it
gonna
does
say that.
matter, like it does help you. You're like, oh yeah, like
Yeah.
that's my support, like
Well, you
it's
feel
really
included and like it's a part of your cause. Like there's a group of people there who are cheering for you and it feels really inclusive and like you're actually working for someone greater than yourself. Like that was neat.
yeah,
Um,
that's cool.
and I loved that. And like Cecilia was there, she was like, "Go Kate, go Kate!" And I could hear her like accent, and I was like, "That's so funny."
Yeah.
So yeah, so then the bike, I was pretty like conservative in the first approach to the bridge. I was just
Hmm.
trying to find my pace and my breathing.
Good.
As I got to the bridge, probably like the like first probably quarter of the bridge where the incline really begins, I started feeling Saturday's workout on in
Yeah.
my quads. I was like, crap. I felt them immediately. I was like, that's the only thing I had because I felt my legs yesterday on Saturday in the
Huh.
same area. So I was like, all right, let's get to the top of this bridge and then like rip open a gel pack and get it at the top, like before you hit your speeds, right? So
Hmm.
I took a gel pack for energies. I felt flatlined, then went downhill conservatively, turned at the U-turn, and then coming uphill, I was like, I told myself, like, this is it, give it your all, it's your last uphill. So I
Hmm.
worked pretty hard there. And then I really worked to go downhill. I cranked downhill too. So that
Good.
was caught a bunch of bikes.
Yeah.
And then transition was my bike
Wait,
ride.
wait. So let's talk about the bike. So you did negative split the bike. It was a headwind on the way out, and you were averaging like 15. If you know, you guys can do this stuff in your own training peaks too. I'm
Yeah.
just showing you. So this is the first half of the bike at the turnaround, and you averaged 15.5 for that. Because you only have, right now, you only have your heart rate and your speed on the bike. And typically we don't race by speed just because it's a parameter that's out of our control. You had the headwind on the way out and a tailwind on the way in. What's the speed that you should have held? We don't know, right?
Yeah.
Because of you can't control the wind and stuff like that. So, you know, just paying attention to your heart rate is a good thing. And it sounds like you were conservative on the way out. I'm just going to suggest that being on a hill or even at the top of the hill and trying to have a gel is a little bit sketchy. Like I definitely recommend, even on this race, to wait until you're done with both bridges and then have that gel at the bottom when it's flat and you've got some speed. You know, you can coast a tiny bit because your heart rate's coming down from the bridge. Just because I have made that mistake of getting my water at the top of a climb and literally fell over, right? It's just a precarious place to be only having one hand on the handlebar, you know what I mean? So just be cautious of timing for your nutrition at the top of a climb. But way to go on the second half, because you definitely negative splitted, which is always what we want to do. You went faster, averaging 17.2. Heart rate on the way back was 168. So you definitely pushed a little bit harder, but it was pretty consistent. 164 on the way out and then 168 on the way back. So that's great. So awesome. So do you know how about, like, were you conscious of how fast you were turning your legs over?
Yeah, I was really working focus big time on no gaps. Like that was my whole cycle experience. Like the whole thing I would say to myself if I felt like I wanted to glide or cruise and not crank.
The coast,
Like,
no coasting.
yeah, I was like, no coasting. I didn't
No
coast
coasting.
once. And I
Yay.
kept a cadence of 80, 88, 85, 88 the whole time. I
Sweet.
tried. I think except for going uphill, obviously. That
Right.
was really like, I was like, I have like, I'm doing like 16 and I'm doing like 8
Right.
miles per hour.
And
Yeah.
so on your watch, you have this auto lap set up. So it's about every 5 miles that it auto laps. And, you know, if we continue working together, I definitely want you to take the auto lap off because it messes up when when I give you intervals and I want you to do a certain interval and then you do an auto lap at 5 minutes or 5 miles, it kind of can mess things up. And,
Yeah.
you know, but this is cool. It's still good information because this is at the top of the bridge. And it still shows that your heart rate was a little bit less, but you definitely pushed up into the higher zones of your heart rate at 178. So that's awesome. Okay, cool. So you got to to the run. How did your legs feel? Oh yeah, I wanted to comment about what you said about you felt your legs from the day before. So this is your first triathlon. And for me, it was more important for you to experience the bridge and have less anxiety about going up and over it than maybe, you know, burning a little bit of extra matches the day before the race. To me, your confidence is more important than maybe not having your PR on your very first triathlon. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I understand that you were probably like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done what I did yesterday.
Oh
But
no, I didn't have that feeling.
okay,
I didn't at
okay,
all. I
good.
just knew that's
Yeah.
what it was. That's all.
I'd rather you, I'd
Yeah.
rather you have the confidence of you knew what it felt like and it is hard,
Yeah.
than not being like, I wonder what's gonna happen. I don't know. I've never done this
Yeah,
before,
no, I
you
didn't
know?
have that for a minute. And
Okay,
a
good.
lot of
I just
that
wanna make sure.
was your coaching.
Yeah.
Like a lot of what you had already said was, you know, hey, you've got to go through all of this and you're gonna feel it, but you're gonna and so I was acknowledging that I felt my legs
Yeah.
and I wasn't for a minute upset that I worked out
Okay,
the day
good.
before. Yeah.
Okay, good. Honestly, that bridge sucks no matter what shape you're in.
Yeah.
You can be in the best shape in the world and you're hitting it, you're like, oh, when you get that last quarter and you're huffing and huffing, you
Yeah.
know, it hurts.
And you
Everybody's
know
hurt.
what else? What sucks about that also is that there were a lot of people who were passing me on my right. So
Oh,
I was like, fuck, I just need to I need to kind of like slow down and kind of bow to the right a little so people can
yes.
pass me. So I
Yeah.
went to like kind of get in the green lane because none of us really were there. And then
Yeah.
I had like freaking what seemed like seasoned athletes like fly past me on the right. And I'm like, motherfuckers, just say, you know, like go to your left, go to your
Yeah.
left. And these
Yeah.
people are just on my end.
I'm happy nothing happened because that's how accidents happen. And
Yeah.
just because that someone has a $15,000 bike does not mean that they know what they're doing.
Right. Just them passing on the right is exactly
I'm
that.
serious. Like I am so, so serious because like I see guys out there sometimes and they have hairy legs on a $20,000 bike. I'm like, that's not
Yeah.
allowed.
You're not a writer. Yeah. Period. in the
I'm like,
discussion.
you're making a disgrace of the whole sport. Like, shave your
Yeah.
legs if you have
Yeah.
a $20,000 bike.
You can afford some razors or going to the wax, the
Yeah,
spa.
exactly.
Jeez.
So wow, I do want to commend you, girl. Look at this run. Holy crap. Your average heart rate was 173 and you peaked out at 185. Honestly, even though the pace was slow, this is just an indication that the heat really, really affected you. So were you able to get like a whole water bottle in on the
Yeah.
bike or not
On
so
the
much?
bike,
Yeah.
I finished my
Okay,
whole
good.
electrolytes water bottle and like half of my water bottle. And
Okay.
in my
Good.
transition, when I got everything off and put on my sneakers,
Uh-huh.
I took my water bottle because that's all I had left and just like
Right.
banged it
Put it
down.
on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I
Okay,
was like,
cool.
let's go. And then I drank at every station. So I
Okay,
drank
good.
water. It was good.
Awesome. Yeah, I
I
mean, honestly, this is great. I mean, went out a little bit fast at a 10-minute mile, 10, 11-minute mile, and then you dropped down to an 11, 20-minute mile during that really, really hard part of the race. And then you negative splitted back to a 10:30. So that's good. And honestly, way better than most people, just kept getting slower and slower and slower. And then the thing I really love the most is your RPMs. Like, to be in the mid to high 170s after just training for a short period of time on the run, this is huge compared to like the 160 RPM. This is where you're going to be more efficient, up in the high 170s, low 180s, ideally. And then just the fact that you were able to sustain this 163 average and then get up to 185 for the finish. I mean, you did a great job. Cool. Any other comments about the run?
Calypso, it's okay.
Everything okay?
The mailman's out there. So all the dogs in the building are like, we're off. You don't
Right.
have to, it's okay.
Right.
The run, I'm really glad you told me about my RPMs because that was one of the things that was a mind like trick for me. Because I was like, my heart rate's so high and I'm not making any forward movement and I'm taking all these goddamn steps. But my whole method of madness was doing the coaching and you were like, you need to get more RPMs than you're doing. So I was working fully on my I was working on my coaching.
Good.
More than
your technique. You were thinking about your fast arms and fast feet, right?
And it was hard because I felt like I was never fully elongating and getting that cadence or that like stride that my body wants to.
Yeah.
So I was doing a lot of restrictive but quick steps. And I felt like I was kind of in a straitjacket. I wasn't giving what I could give.
Yeah, but your heart rate's too high. It wasn't possible. Physiologically, it wasn't possible. Honestly, if it was 20 degrees hotter, you would have probably had a mile average. Like, I do believe it would have been that much of a difference with the heat. I really, really do. And this is where, doing the speed work and those accelerations, which we had just started to do with you, like doing those 30-second accelerations and stuff like that. That is going to be where you start to open up your hips and feel that stride with the fast feet. So when we want to think about speed on the run, it's not longer strides alone. It is longer strides with faster feet, right? So it's a combination. You get the benefit of both, but you always want to continue to land with that midfoot, not with the heels, right?
That was what I was working on. So I've never really had a heel strike in my run.
Cool.
I was proud.
You should.
So I'm transitioning from a soccer field runner where you like full on. I can go 120 minutes sprinting and stopping, jumping like, but 30 minutes or at like an 11 at a 10-minute pace to do 3 miles is a mental game for me. So I really am working.
It's completely different type of running.
Yeah.
Soccer is staccato, so you can sprint and recover really well.
Yeah.
The steady state thing is a completely different physiological adaptation, and it's something you can train. Yeah. But the benefit that you have of coming to this sport from soccer is your ability to switch is easier than someone who comes from the long, slow endurance stuff and wants to get faster. Their journey takes longer to get faster. So just want to put that in your back pocket for the future.
Yeah, thank you. For sure.
Okay, cool. Well, congratulations. Any last comments? And I'm going to talk to Cariel for a few minutes.
No, I mean, you said I had a few more, maybe a week or two left with
Yeah,
beginners. We can
yeah,
do
yeah.
that after this or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I just wanted to talk to you about what you thought you were gonna want to do next. But honestly, like I think you're on the right trajectory as far as just moving this week. I'll put workouts in for the rest of the weekend. There is a group ride, but I don't think you're quite ready for the long ride yet, but definitely want
I'm
you to get
leaving.
out there.
I'm
Yeah.
leaving tomorrow actually for a family vacation.
Okay.
I'm taking my bike with me because I always take it there. It's
Yay.
our house up north, and I always take my bike there. It's a lake, so I'll do swimming and I'll be riding and so yeah, so I'm gonna be gone until probably the first week of June.
Okay, perfect.
And then I'll be back. So like, but
Okay, so
yeah,
I'll load you up. I'll load you up till the first week of, till June 1st, and then let's touch base maybe at the end of next week if you can, and
yeah,
then we'll talk about what's next. Sound good?
perfect.
All right, Carriel, you're up.
Come on, what are you doing?
Kate, I just want to say something to Kate. Kate,
Yeah.
congratulations. And your last call was super insightful for me with your conversation with Coach. It was super, super insightful. And I just want to say congratulations again. And you're on your way to the next level. So congrats again.
Yeah,
Oh,
so yeah, Carriel, I just want to, I appreciate what you just said because people don't listen to the recordings, right? They miss the call and they don't listen and they don't realize the wealth of
It was so
knowledge.
much.
You
Yes.
can get so many tips from other people's experiences, right? And then you avoid the pitfalls of all the other people that have come before you, right? So
Yes.
I really appreciate your acknowledging Kate, and I appreciate Kate for being so vocal. You're a great communicator, Kate, and I love the dialogue we always have. You're always very detailed, and it's helping other people. And you just started, like you're already an inspiration to someone else. How cool is that? Right?
that's what we're all here for, to bring each other up and bring each other through, and also to show each other that, like, hey, we're all human. And
yeah, a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carriel, for saying something.
yeah,
Yeah,
thank you,
so I
Carrie.
know you've gotten a wealth of knowledge over the past just 2 weeks. You've only been here like 2 weeks, but I know I worked with you a little bit on the weekend on your running, and I gave you some tips on the swim. But I don't want you to feel overwhelmed because it's a journey. Like Kate has been here with me for 5 weeks, right? So 5 or 6 weeks, can you, Kate, just see a huge difference from 2 weeks in versus, now almost 8 weeks in? I mean,
Oh yeah, huge, huge, huge.
so it's a process. So I know, Carriel, I appreciate how excited you are, and I want you to keep that enthusiasm. But the number one rule of thumb is the consistency. Just hitting the workouts and not really going over the volume of what's required there. I mean, you can a little bit, but honestly, it's about the consistency, right? You're going to see huge improvements in your performance just because you're doing it the right way, keeping it slow, focusing on your breathing. Your body kind of goes through a transformation as far as handling and absorbing all the training, as opposed to going too fast, too far, too soon, and coming up with an injury or anything like that, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. So any specific questions?
Yes. So I wanted to start with the running. Oh my God. It changed my whole world just physically. And I mean, it's so funny because it's like you all are inside my brain. So no heel strike. And that was gonna be my first question. Am I not supposed to strike my heels? And the answer is no. I've never done that before. And I'm
Did it feel
not a
different?
runner. Yeah, I feel so different. I feel like muscles that I've never felt before activate.
Yeah.
But I also noticed where I did some pickup in my speed, and I noticed that my body was totally postured differently, and I felt like a runner. Um,
Yay!
so it really it's a real game changer.
Yes.
So even the way I walk is a little bit different. Like, and I'm wearing flat shoes now, and it really makes a big difference. So I definitely want to give you a big shout out for that. And I picked up on that, and I started training that even on Sunday. Started with the training on Saturday, picked up and continued Sunday, and I continued with that yesterday.
Okay, perfect.
So So definitely feel a little bit sore because
Yeah.
it's new.
Yeah, you should feel, and you want to stretch your calves a little bit extra, just because you're not used to, you actually, your calves work harder and feel a little bit more of their impact in the spring, because when you stride out, it's really your hamstrings that are getting most of the brunt of everything, and usually your shins, right? But when you land more
Yes.
midfoot, your calves get more of a stretch because there's a rebound and then a push off, right? So stretch, 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 foam roll, do any kind of mobility you can. I love a 3-minute drop off of a step. Like especially if you have like 3 days and 3 or 4 days in a row, or every other day of running, you definitely just want to stay long as much as possible. And don't be afraid for light massage and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay. Because I felt it everywhere. My shins, even my shins never felt that way before.
Yeah.
So I'm like, everything's getting activated the way it should be. So,
So let's talk about that. So the reason why your shins hurt is because here's the ground, and when you land properly, your midfoot striking and your shin muscles, which is really your anterior tibialis, and it's actually a calf muscle that's like more anterior. It decelerates you, and then you push up, right? So
okay.
normally you don't do that. You're doing this, right? And you're braking. So when you decelerate, it's just a different muscle that's doing the job, but it's definitely more the way the body was designed to perform. Like your foot is
Okay.
supposed to land, your foot splays, then your
Okay.
arch contracts, and then you lift your heel and you do it again, right? As opposed
Okay.
to the overstriding with the heel strike. So it will take a couple weeks, until the soreness completely goes away, but just keep focused on it. And there will come a time where you're not going to have to think about it, but right now it's focus, focus, focus on the shorter stride and no
Yeah.
heel striking. But fast arms also helps, right? So
Right.
fast arms without fast feet, and then mouth closed, right? If you're running with your mouth closed, you can't go fast. It's impossible because you're like, I can't breathe, right? That means you're going too fast and you need to bring it back. And when you breathe through your nose, there's lots of positive benefits. You actually burn more fat as a fuel source, and you literally create more capillaries. Your body will build and create more capillaries from your lungs and to deliver oxygen to the working muscle, so that when we
Okay.
do decide to do accelerations and intervals and go faster, you just have the engine already pre-built to be able to get the job done. So it's a really cool thing that's happening right now. You're kind of creating this little this perfect template in your body to then progress from.
So mouth closed always.
Right now,
Right
right?
now, for right now. Got it.
But don't
Got it.
worry, we're gonna be, getting some intervals in there and accelerations. But yeah, the more you can keep your mouth closed during this first few weeks of training, the bigger your aerobic engine will build. And you might get
Okay.
a little leaner.
Oh,
Just by consequence.
okay. Okay.
Okay.
The other thing is the swim. So I'm really trying to figure out it's one, building the endurance, two, the mechanics.
Mhm.
Because even in the recording with Kate last from the last call, when you called out, just kind of leave, put your arm straight out, and then you kind of tuck your head into your kind of like into your arm, or you're kind of looking down into your armpit, if you will.
Mhm.
I never can keep my arm straight out. Like it always drops. And
Yeah.
I know it's so inefficient, but it's
Mhm.
something I just can't wire my brain. I'm trying to figure out if I need to hold a board, a kickboard or something, and just
Yeah.
kind of keep it out. But
Yeah.
that's where I'm struggling, is the mechanics.
Yeah. So do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is Mr. Smooth. And
Mr. Smooth, okay.
Mr. Smooth.
Yeah.
He's not perfect, but he's almost perfect, right? So the number one thing is his head for me is too high and he's looking forward, right? But
Yeah.
he's flexible enough in his low back and his shoulders that his hips are still up. Okay. So for you, Cariel, when I watched you swim over the weekend, I never saw your hips at the surface nor your feet. Okay. So we've got to, number one, you always start with breathing. Are you blowing bubbles out of your nose?
I am. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
So whenever you feel like tired or you're panicked, That's the number one thing that sometimes goes is you start to hold your breath instead of exhale. So as soon as you start to hold your breath, then everything else kind of spirals out of control. So when you're at the pool, I recommend at each wall, every time you're resting on the wall, I want you to do 5 bubble breaths. So you inhale above the water, you exhale below the water through your nose, setting the pattern of the 3-second exhale, right? So if you
Okay.
look at Mr. Swim Smooth, it's about 3 seconds between his stroke cycle, right? So he breathes and then 1, 2, 3, breathe. 1, 2, 3, breathe, right? So you want to be able to exhale through your nose for at least 3 seconds, maybe 3 to 5, right? Before you
Okay.
turn your head to get this breath. And the balance piece is what you're lacking. So this is your bread and butter drill, okay, is side kick drill. So literally, so you can just kick on your side. I recommend wearing fins. Do you have fins?
Yes.
So I would wear your fins for the drill. And you can do you have one of those triangle kickboards?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a bulky one, but I've got a kickboard. I need to get a lighter one.
Yeah, so I have the store on Swim Outlet, which I can drop you a text, or I'll put it in the group chat, but that
Okay.
triangle Finesse kickboard has a strap on it, right? And you can slip your hand right into the kickboard, and you want to just practice kicking on your side in this position with this hand. Actually, you want it to be by your side, so you want to be lengthened like all the way here, okay?
Okay.
So you would be here, and then you would just practice kicking on your side, this arm on your thigh, just practicing blowing your bubbles and then turning your head to breathe. Practice blowing
Okay.
bubbles and turning your head to breathe. And when you have your hand in the kickboard, you can't push down, right? Because it's helping your arm float. And you just want to get really good at this side kick position, because this is the most important position in swimming. You're never faster during your swim cycle than this position. The reason
Okay.
is because this arm, your right arm, just got done pulling you forward, okay? And hydrodynamics wise, the longer you are, the faster you go. So instead of Mr. Swim Smooth being 6 feet, he's 7 foot right now, okay? And he wants to try to stay 7 foot the entire time. So you gotta get really good at kicking down the pool, breathing just on one side, being completely on your side, and getting really good at that streamline arrow position. And then you would come back and you would face the other direction with your other arm leading the way. You might want to try it without the kickboard too. If you don't have the kickboard, you can definitely master it without. The kickboard is kind of just a tool to help you have something tangible in your hand. Make sense?
Got it.
Okay.
Yes.
So that would be the most important drill for you to be doing and practicing. And then the second drill after that would be the catch-up drill, where you got your stick, the stick that I
Yeah.
gave you.
Yep.
So then after this side kick drill, you would literally hold the stick in your hand, and you would do this side kick. You would take a breath, look down, and then switch arms. This arm would reach for the stick, and then you would switch to the other side and side kick on the other side. Maybe 2 or 3 breaths, right? You're on your side, then you grab the stick and you switch sides, okay?
Okay.
So
Got it.
those 2 drills I would practice, but only with fins, right? So really get good at them with fins before you take it away.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the other thing so really your goal over the next few weeks is to get really good at your breathing, really good at your balance, and really good at your kick. And the three positions you want to work on are kicking on your belly in perfect balance, getting your breathing right, kicking on your side, and kicking on your back. Those 3 positions, you should be able to do like 3 or 4 50s of each position. Now, do you know like swim lingo? Are you good with swim lingo?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so you can even do 25s if you need to rest on the wall and do your 5 bubble breaths in between. Make sense?
Okay.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay, and so yeah, this is just a good visual, right? See how straight his legs are? And then
Yes.
on the surface, his butt cheeks are breaking the surface every stroke, right?
And
His
I never
ankles-
could do that. I'm always
No,
dragging.
You're always dragging. So a good image in your mind is, first of all, there is something to practice is just floating, right? Because you will find a buoyancy point. but it's up to you to stay long and strong in the core, right? Because if you just try to float, your legs will drop. It's up to you to keep them up, right? And you want to always imagine you're kind of swimming a little bit downhill, okay? But downhill from your ankles, not breaking at your waist. Does that make sense?
Okay, got
Yeah.
it from the
Yeah. So you're
okay.
kind of always like this. So you're going to get really good at kicking on your belly, really good at kicking on your back, and then really good at kicking on your side. And if you just do the drills a lot and then you just practice your freestyle like intermittently in between, you will start to get longer. Okay.
Okay.
And then honestly, your stroke mechanics is the last part to work on, because you could have perfect stroke mechanics. You could have a perfect entry, a perfect reach, a perfect catch, a perfect finish, a perfect recovery. Those are the 5 parts of the stroke. But if your legs are dragging, your balance is bad, and you can't breathe, you don't go anywhere.
Right.
Sense? So you really have to master the body position, the balance, the breathing, and the kick, the engine first. And it has to be so automatic that then you can actually think about what's happening with your arms.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And honestly, it's not going to happen overnight. It's about repetition. So the more that you are in the water, if you can get in the water at least twice a week, you will have more progression than if you get in the water once a week for an hour.
Okay.
If you get in the water twice a week for 30 minutes, you will improve more quickly than an hour once a week. If you could get in the water 3 times a week for 20 minutes, you'll improve more than once a week for an hour.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Sounds good.
Question. Any other questions about technique?
No, it's just practice. But I
Yeah.
wish I was closer so that I could go to Ransom, but I'm not.
I know. Well, if you can ever come on the weekends, we will be starting to swim on Saturdays more because of Alligator Lighthouse and stuff. So that Saturday morning option at 7 will be more often. Like we'll probably hit it twice a month, June, July, and August. So at least you can come on those days and get a little bit of open water swim practice. And I can spend more time with you in the open water instead of going off and swimming like I did last weekend.
Okay. I was about to join my daughter in her swim lessons that she just started yesterday.
You should.
So I can get the mechanics.
Yeah. Hey, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Everybody has
Okay.
their methodology, so hopefully they don't conflict with what I recommend.
I know.
And don't be surprised if your daughter like blows you away, because kids they don't have any fear. They're not afraid of anything happening in the water. Typically, even if they're afraid initially, they can pick it up so much faster. They're just not as heavy in the water. They find that balance point a lot quicker. So don't be surprised if your daughter like picks it up really fast and you're still struggling. That's just the adult thing.
And she's 4, so I'm sure she's gonna catch it faster than me.
You will. I'm happy you're doing it so young. I started my daughter at 6 months, and she's a fish.
Yep.
So
I did the same, but then COVID came, and then it was like, but we started her. She was like 5, 6 months as well.
Okay, well, I'm sure does she like it?
She loves it. She loves
Good.
it.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And so when are you gonna get a bike?
I'm still working on it. If my Peloton could just end up going on the road, I'd be good. But I just got a budget for it and just planned for it. So right now it's just the Peloton right now.
You can find like an $800. You can even buy a new road bike for $800. So you can buy a decent used road bike or tri bike for sometimes less than. I know Kate's selling hers, but it's the wrong size. But you can find used bikes for less than $1,000. And for your first try, honestly, you don't need anything. And as I recommended, you could even borrow a mountain bike or borrow a friend's road bike for temporary use just to make sure. But I borrowed my brother-in-law's bike that was steel, and it had the shifters on the down tube. I mean, it was ridiculous. It weighed like so much. It weighed like 25 pounds, right? But it worked. It worked, right? The pedals turned over. That's all that mattered, right?
Could you explain the fitting? I noticed that. So what is the fitting process? Because I was looking at there's a cost that goes with it.
Yes, so it depends. So like in this program, it's an add-on to you, but when you get a bike, you definitely need a bike fit, because every bike is, measured differently to every rider. And if you're improperly fit, you can actually really mess your body up. You can hurt your knees, your hips, your back, your neck. I mean, you can put yourself in a world of hurt, but you do need to know what size bike you need. How tall are you?
5'10". I think we talked about 54, even though
4.
when I rented it at City Bikes,
It's
they gave me a
56.
56.
Yeah, usually 5'10" and lower, like to 5'10" to 5'6" is typically a 54, and then 5'6" and less is a 52. And then if you're 5'1", typically a 48.
Okay.
So yeah, I would go with a 54 for your height, for sure.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so look for those size bikes on, you can check did you look on the Facebook marketplace, the triathlon marketplace? Yeah.
I did yesterday, yes.
Keep looking, keep looking. And Kate, did you reach out to that girl?
I did. I haven't heard back from her yet.
Okay,
But
cool.
Ariel, I was gonna say also, do you know the app OfferUp?
Offer up. Oh, you know what? Coach Aaron mentioned that one too.
Yeah,
I have it in my notes.
Okay,
loaded with bikes, and you can also put in like specificities in OfferUp,
height.
like your bike frame size that you want it carbon or aluminum, and then it'll start sending you alerts for things that are posted and the price range.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So yeah, so there will be a workout next Saturday, but not this Saturday. Okay, because the Memorial Day, we have the long ride, but next weekend we'll have a shorter break on the key for you guys. If you're back in town, Kate, and then for you for sure, Carrie-O. Okay.
Thank you so
Cool.
much.
All right, so use the group chat if you have any questions. Have an awesome weekend. Congratulations again, Kate. Go celebrate. You are a
Congrats,
triathlete.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, have a good one.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
And congrats to you, Coach. I know you raced as well. So
Oh yeah,
awesome.
thank you. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.